Here comes a new challenger!
Hello there everyone, and welcome to the controller tier list. The tier list of me rating these controllers. And I already put the ones I never even touched before on here, never used, so we'll get that out of the way. You know what, let's just color it red, red. I always change the colors of these, but I didn't do it for this one. Color schemes for me are just so nice, especially like these colors are just very nice to look at. And then you have, wait, what? Okay. Oh, I did that by accident. All right, let's just move this one there. There you go. And then the bad ones usually have like the meh colors, like green. Green is pretty meh-ish, and red is just like So I think, but either way, so we're just going to be talking about these controllers and, how I felt about the controllers, using them, because I've used a lot of controllers, as you can quite easily tell. I've used at least these once in my life, and I can still remember using them, whether it's recently or a long time ago. But with that all being said, let's get started in order. The Wii U gamepad. Alright, I hate how this thing feels in my hands, alright? Even with me having like big hands, I never liked how the Wii U felt when grabbing it. It always felt like it was just too big. It felt like playing with Leap Star, but it was like it just felt wrong in my hands whenever I used it. And I don't know, I've just never felt too comfortable when using the controller. It was just so big, and something about it it didn't feel comfortable for me personally, despite me having massive hands. But with that, you had the Pro Controller, and Pro Controller was actually pretty good. Actually, I used it when playing like with my cousins or whatever, and it was fun to use it. It was definitely the controller that if I had a Wii U, I would definitely use this controller, because man, the gamepad sucked. And of course, when it comes to the Smash, obviously I use the gaming controller, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So when it comes to it, definitely the Wii U's gamepad kind of sucked, but the Pro Controller, I believe it was called the Pro Controller, maybe I'm forgetting what it was called, maybe I'm just so used to calling this a Pro Controller, but it was still pretty good, felt nice in the hands. So yeah, and I guess we have double Joy-Cons. The problem with double Joy-Cons is that it would be here if not for the sticks feeling kind of sloppy at the end of it. Like over time they kind of feel very weak. I feel like they'll break off at any moment. Of course, Joy-Con drift. The controller itself, like there's a lot of cool things about it, but it drifts, and of course you can get it repaired for free essentially, but your Joy-Cons at least. But still, even with that, like, it's just that if the controllers are made any better, drift wouldn't be an issue. So yeah, no, this controller kind of blows, and the same issues, except even worse, because one Joy-Con is very small in the hand. Here's a problem, right? I would say the left Joy-Con single is better than the right Joy-Con single, because with the right Joy-Con, the stick is all the way in the middle, where the buttons are in the middle for the left one, so it kind of feels nicer for the left one than it does the right one. I don't know if it kind of feels like with the buttons, yeah, I have to extend my right thumb for the left one, but I'd rather extend my thumb for the buttons rather than the stick, which is what I need to use to move the character in the game, you know what I mean? So yeah, that kind of blows. So there you go. The Pro Controller is great, however. It's great. I don't really need to say much on it. It's great. It feels great. It has some of the same features, so yeah, it's pretty nice. And now they finally made it light up the LCD, right? Like the little ring over the home menu. Like I can't believe they did that after 2-3 years. It was done somewhere in 2020, but still amazing. And this controller obviously is started to 600, and I used it for the Atari 600 Classic thing, basically those pocket consoles or whatever they're called, the mini consoles. And obviously this would be a bad controller nowadays, because obviously it's just a stick and a button. But for the system it was made for, obviously it's a great controller. Because for those games you only needed one button and just one stick to move everything, and it felt great. I think the controller it's basically just an arcade stick, except what if that arcade stick just had one button and a joystick, you know what I mean? So it feels great in the hands. I don't think it's it's very small, but obviously if you're holding it, or at least in my case, right, if I'm holding it, my thumb, with the way I will position my hand, my thumb will basically always be on top of the button, and my hand will always be my right hand will always be moving the stick, so it's never an issue for me when using that controller. Obviously, there's not going to be any best controller, though. If you want to know my personal preference of best controller, it'd probably be the GameCube controller. But we'll get, actually, you know what? Since I already said that, let's move it over. Just move it over there. GameCube controller is great. It just feels nice in my hands. It's just an amazing controller. What can I say? But moving on here, Genesis controller, I don't like how it feels too much. It's great, it's good, like it works, but like I never really like the, like I don't think it's like here. It kind of felt weird when using it. It's kind of like a boomerang. I don't know, there's something like about how it feels in your hand where it doesn't, I don't know, for me personally, it just doesn't mesh well, like with my hands versus that controller. I don't know, but maybe that's just a me thing, you know, that's just a me thing. The Dreamcast controller is freaking fat. I never really liked the Dreamcast controller. It just felt fat, and for the same reasons, using the Xbox Duke controller, I just didn't like it. As a matter of fact, when it comes to Xbox controllers, I've never really liked them up until the Xbox One, because with the Xbox 360, the buttons never felt right. Like the buttons kind of felt weak. When it came to like the actual sticks, it's kind of like they never felt strong. Like something about the old Xbox controllers just never felt good. All right, it always felt like it just break at any moment. Maybe that's just me because I have just large hands, but like I never really liked how it felt. And especially with the Dreamcast controller, again, it's a massive controller, it's huge. What am I gonna do with that? It's kind of hard for me to like just get accustomed to it. You know, at least had that nice little Tamagotchi thing, you know. I mean, the memory card, that was nice, you know, that was cool. But other than that, I didn't really like the controller too much. Then we have the PS1 controller, and look, it's only here because it doesn't have the sticks. Especially like when DualShock came out, DualShock for PS1, like obviously I wasn't really young enough for that, but considering that there was a revision of this controller later with actual sticks, actually, you know what? Here we go. You know, there was a revision of this controller with the actual sticks instead of it just being a D-pad. I'm sorry, this one just like it feels so wrong for me. It just feels wrong when using this controller. But hey, again, that's just a me thing. Though this controller, I never really liked the PS4 controller. The PS4. Oh, wait, what? I never really liked the PS4 controller. The PS4 controller always felt weak for me. Like I always felt like, again, like it was just gonna break at any moment. Nah, definitely not the controller for me. I never, especially the triggers. The triggers always felt terrible in the PS4. No, it felt bad. Like it felt bad in my hands. All right, I never liked how this thing felt, personally. You know, even now, when I play with like friends or family, whatever, like the controller just feels like it'll just break in my hands. You know, I never really liked that about it. The controller itself, it feels very cheaply made. You know, that's my personal opinion, but like I never liked how the PS4 controller felt. The NES controller though, it's great. For me, it's one of those things where it's like it's super flat. So like for me personally, it kind of feels like, man, what do I grip onto? Which you don't really need to grip onto anything. It's just D-pad and two buttons, right? I mean, there's pause and select, but for me, it's like, whatever, you know, I can work with this. So the controller was fine, it was fun, but overall, you know, for the games it was made for, it's perfect. But for me personally, like actually having it in my hand kind of felt awkward, you know. I mean, I guess in a sense, I never really used like actual NES ones, but rather like the replica ones. But even, well, for like NES Mini or Classic or whatever, but even still, the controller kind of felt wrong in my hands. Hey, that again, that's just me personally. You may have a different opinion. For this one though, similar thing, just don't like how flat it is. It kind of feels like there's nothing really to grip onto, and I don't know, I've always felt like this controller was just sort of, it's kind of awkward, you know, because the D-pad is like small-ish for me. Like it's small, despite it being like a bit bigger than like the NES controller, right? In terms of like how they designed it, like they kind of designed it with like this weird, so like it's similar to like the Genesis like boomerang-ish thing, but instead of it actually being like this like weird boomerang looking thing, it's kind of like this flat space instead of it curving. So yeah, again, just an awkward controller. This controller though, I hate this controller. All right, Sorry, I mean, I don't hate it this much, but I hate this controller. I can't stand this controller. This controller, it just blows, all right? I think this controller, the way it was designed, like, why would, like, honestly, it's almost here. I used to play Smash 64 and Mario 64 in my cousin's house, like, back when they used to have an N64. I think they still do. I think they actually kept it, but when I would use this N64 controller, like, it never felt right. All right, it felt like the main thing is, like, you grab it from the middle, but then sometimes you have to grab it from the sides, but then, like, you have to grab it from the middle and then the sides for some games, and then, like, other times you're just like, it's like most of your hand is in the middle and then one hand is all the way to the right, or one hand's all the way to the left, and then there's a balance, but then you're not using the stick, and the stick itself is kind of rigid and there's no padding to it, so it's kind of hard. And unlike, say, like the game control without padding, where it's like this, it's smooth on the GameCube's part, the 64 controller had these protrusions which made, like, the grip easier, but, like, it was still a pain to use. So yeah, no, definitely not fun. Not a fun controller. All right, especially without that padding. Ugh, no, I don't know what they were thinking with that one. Finally, Wii U Nut Jug top tier. All right, and if I were to order now, let me just order these real quick. All right, so for top tier, let's put this one in the back here. Easily better. All right, there you go. For high tier, we'll keep this one in the back, along with this one. Still great controllers, but I'm gonna move this one. Okay, never mind. I'm gonna move that one there, and this one here. All right, for mid tier, this one's gonna stay right here in the back. Yeah, we're just gonna move the Duke back here, back there. So, let's move this here. I hate the Ps4 controller also, and we'll move the Switch, like, double Joy-Cons there, and for this one, easily there. So yeah, that's my opinions. I don't even know what this is. I don't know what this is. I never used one of these. Actually, wait, that's a lie. I did use these. I did use this one, and I didn't like it too much, actually. I'll be frank. I don't know. It's something about the flatness of it. Yeah, no, I definitely was like, I was given this controller once, and I'm just like, hey, you got something else? I definitely got that vibe from this controller. But it's definitely better than the Dreamcast controller. I had Dreamcast controller and me were never meant to be, okay? I'm just saying. And let me just look back. I never used the Master System, Famicom, or the 6-button Genesis controller. Or was this supposed to be the Sega Saturn? Either way, I never played a Saturn, so I don't know what this is supposed to be. Can someone in the comments tell me what this is supposed to be? I'm interested. But yeah, for overall, I would say this is my tier list. You can let me know your guys' opinions on the comments below. What is your favorite controller? I guess that should have been saved for question of the week, but still, what's your favorite controller? You know? What is your controller preference if you had to pick one? You know? Let me know in the comments below. Of course, this isn't counting third-party controllers, because there's a lot of really good third-party controllers. But there are better third-party controllers for the Switch than Nintendo's actual controllers. So, I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Please take care of yourself. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. This was just a shorter video because I'm going on a trip, and so I kind of need to make 4 videos before I go. So I hope that you can forgive me on that. With that all being said, take care, be safe. Let's get to 1,000 subs before the end of the year, and peace.
I'm coming through, partner with the tools right. You're the fire, I'm the wind tonight. Pretty dread, haha, that's right, baby.